Okay, good evening, lads. Where can I take you to?
Good evening. Can you take us to Fulham Broadway, please?
Fulham Broadway. Oh,
Yes,
it's going to be very
please.
busy this evening. There's a Chelsea match.
Yeah, so I heard, but as close as you can to the underground station, approximately round about there, please.
Okay, inshallah.
Wow.
Today it wasn't that, it wasn't that full of people.
It wasn't so busy earlier on, but I have a feeling that it's
Yeah, it'll be very busy
kicking
now.
off
It's
in about
very
40
close to
minutes
the
or
game.
so.
Yes, it's
Very
true.
close. Just an hour left to the game, so
Oh, crikey, there we go.
we might get away from the big rush.
It looked like Muslim, isn't it?
So where are you off to, lads,
Maybe
this
we
evening?
can, maybe we can ask him. We're just gonna go to a pub just near the underground station, and well, just to meet some friends of ours, some more. Well, they're more along the lines of colleagues. I won't go as far as calling them friends because I don't really like to hang out in such places, especially recently as something's taken a big turn in my life. Judging by your beard and you trimmed your upper lip, are you by any chance a Muslim?
I am, yes.
Oh, well, assalamu alaikum.
Oh,
Wa
assalamu
alaikum
alaikum.
salam.
Yeah, because my friend Mohammed Marco and myself,
Mashallah.
recently about a week ago we took Shahada together in our local public house, and so we're
Sorry,
still trying
you
to
took your shahada in the public house?
Oh, well, this is what I've been told to call it, because if I'm talking to another Muslim, the public house for an Englishman, as I know, is a pub. However, which I used to be going to very often, a public house, which means a house open to the public.
Yeah.
And for a Muslim to a Muslim, I can call it a public house because apparently that's another way of saying mosque.
Yes.
Is that,
There is, yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Do you agree with that, or?
That's quite interesting.
Because by the looks of your, by judging you by your front cover, you seem a lot older, and I can only imagine a bit more pious than us, because we've only been a week or so into the religion.
Well, I'm not that old.
Well,
but
older perhaps than I. Anyhow, so I work in hospitality in a kitchen, and there's a lot of guys who work there. They tend to call each other Muslim brothers.
Yeah.
So brother this and brother that. However, there's a lot of this particular word that they keep saying, which is Kuffar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm not quite sure. They don't really talk to me that much, as I'm only new to the game, as it were, new to Islam.
Sure.
But what does Kuffar actually mean?
Yeah. You know, it's actually a word that you even find on the television and the newspapers, and it's almost being used as a swear word.
Yeah, I'm very much aware there's somewhat negative connotations.
Yeah, derogatory connotations. You're right, but the thing is, it's not like that at all.
Okay.
The actual meaning is somebody, because it's an Arabic word, by the way.
Okay.
It's an Arabic word.
It's an Arabic word,
Okay.
And with the Arabic language, it's a very rich language. Words have very rich and deep meanings. Now, from a linguistic point, it means something to cover, or to conceal, or to hide.
Okay.
Now, when somebody who is a Muslim, who surrenders themselves to Allah, they're called a Muslim.
Yes.
But as a kuffar or a kafir, which is, means one of them, it just simply means that somebody who is hiding or concealing any faith that they have. They're a non-Muslim, essentially. So it's not a swear word.
So, but basically, it's the kind of the people like Christian one or whatever that they know Islam, but they don't accept that you call it kuffar.
Well, not necessarily that they know Islam. They may know of Islam, but they happen to follow Christianity.
Okay.
But essentially, if you want to translate as a non-Muslim,
okay, non-Muslim,
as a person who's not a Muslim, essentially, that's a simple way of looking at it. That they're a non-Muslim, but it's not a derogatory term, i.e., in a sense that to swear or curse anybody, or if somebody is, or to take offence to it. And I'll be honest with you that if a Muslim is talking to a non-Muslim colleague or something like that, it's not correct to say you kafir, because number one, it's a different language. They might not know that. They don't understand what it means, and they may take it in a bad way. Okay, but you should be respectful, and you should be very clear in how you're talking to people.
Right.
It's very important as Muslims that when we speak to people, we speak in a clear way. But it's certainly not a derogatory word.
Okay.
In that sense, to be used as a curse word or anything like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But basically, that was a bit. Even I don't have a big knowledge, but my opinion, it was that one. That some people they say that is a kuffar in a bad way.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what I think I say, shouldn't say in a bad way, because some people, you know, like you said, they are kuffar, maybe they don't know Islam.
You're right.
You know,
you're
okay,
right.
still kuffar because they're not Muslim, but you know, you shouldn't say in a kind way.
Yeah.
You know, may Allah guide them.
It's unfortunate that many Muslims don't realize that it's a responsibility upon us to call people to Islam.
Yeah.
And not to hate people or to hate for people to embrace Islam. So hence when they see non-Muslims, they use words like, you know, kuffar and kafir. This is not how, I mean, that's what they are in a sense, that they're non-Muslims. But as Muslims, we should want to show them the good side of Islam, invite them to Islam in a good way, in a nice way.
Yeah.
Okay? We shouldn't want or will or want people to go to the hellfire. We want people to go to the paradise as
Yes.
Muslims. We want people to go to
Yes.
Jannah,
Inshallah.
paradise, you know. So it's important that we have this in our mind, and not to have hatred for people who are non-Muslims in that sense, i.e. that stops us, you know, calling them to Islam. It's very important that, you know, we're living in a non-Muslim country. Muslims were a minority
Yes.
here.
And this is
you know?
London, you know. So.
And we need to show as what what we saw in Islam, that we wanted to embrace Islam, the beautiful side of Islam. We should also want to show that to other people, and not to be a bad example, not to be a people who are abrasive and harsh, which people will say, look, this is Islam, you know, this is what you're calling to. Why would they want to be a Muslim? So it's very important that we have good manners with people. This is a very important point in Islam, to have good manners.
Good man.
Good
But
manners,
you know,
yes.
brothers, there were a question that comes on my mind that is a bit more deep, I think, which almost the woman, they asked me this question.
Yeah.
Because they told me, okay, now you are Muslim, yeah, but you have to tell me why you can have 4 wives.
Aha.
That is the very deep question they asked me.
Of course.
And then my answer is not that clear.
Sure.
That,
Sure.
you know, as Muslim brother that is born in Islam, he
Yeah.
knows better than me.
Yeah. This is, you know, the 4 wives, or the woman, why does she have to cover herself? Inheritance laws, where, you know, the man gets the double share of a woman and things like that. These are very common questions that you read in newspapers. These are very common questions or things that people talk about on the television.
Mm-hmm.
When, before answering, and I'd advise you brothers, before you start answering these questions, because sometimes you answer them but it's difficult for people to accept it, because their way of life, what do you mean a man can have 4 wives? I mean, in the United Kingdom it's illegal to have 4 wives. It's not
Yes.
allowed. You're only allowed to have 1 wife in this country.
Yeah.
But in other countries, you know, that may be permitted, may be allowed. You need to take a step back. You need to talk about the law of God. You know, the law that, or the guidance that God Almighty gave to us.
Yes.
And as a Muslim, if I believe that to be the best guidance, everything that God tells us, everything that Allah tells us is best for us. Even though my own personal opinion, it may be something I'm not used to.
Yeah.
If I can understand that whatever I find in the Quran is a source of guidance, then I'll understand that if God Almighty allows this, it's best for us. Now, talking specifically, so fundamentally, you know, men are different from women.
Yes.
Their wants and needs and desires mentally, they're very different. You know, maybe generally, you know, not all cases, but maybe women are more emotional type in the sense. Maybe men look at things in a very different way. This is not just an Islamic way of looking at it. There's a very famous book, Men from Mars and Women from Venus, describing the different attitudes and emotional states of men and women. They're very different.
Yeah.
They have different needs. So Islam has given a guidance to us that allows a man to, within the law, to marry more than 1 woman. He has to be just. He has to be fair. If he can't do that, he can't be fair, then he's only allowed to marry 1. And Islam, out of all the religions, is the only religion that tells us or limits a man to the amount of women that he's allowed to marry. There's other religions in the world, like the Mormons, that they can marry up to, you know, 15 and 20 women. But Islam limits it. and limits it also to in terms of he has to be just and fair when he marries. It's a big topic, you know. When dealing with people who are not Muslim, to understand these topics is sometimes quite complicated. But if you always go back to the origin in talking about, you know, worshipping Allah and obeying Allah, and He knows best, you can always take it back to that. And once they accept that, then the laws that come with it are easier to accept.
Yeah, basically, you know, many brothers as well, they told me that if you go back on the time, you know, they used to marry as well if there was many, because before there was many slaves, women. Yeah. So because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was married some women because they needed. You know, maybe they are divorced, or maybe some women they were even sick, so they need someone to support them, even economically, or you know.
Yeah, there are many different situations.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the example that you gave, and sometimes you find widows that have, you know, 2 or 3 children, and it's difficult for them to remarry, somebody to look after them, and Islam has answers for this. And this is one of the beautiful things that I found in Islam, that regardless of whatever situation that you find, social issues, economical issues, Islam has something to give a solution for that.
Yes.
You know, and you don't find that we're left, you know, twiddling our thumbs, you know, what do we do? What are we supposed to do now? Islam has answers for all of these things. So this is one of the things which shows, also proof to me, that Islam is, you know, something from Allah, and something complete, not something which is deficient. And the more that you study, the more that you learn, the more that you'll find that Islam is so beautiful and is so applicable and applicable to all times and all people.